Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. Come on in. Today, I wanted to kind of address something that we were talking about last night. Last night was November 30th. In our video, we were talking about the flashlight video again. and we talked about a hidden door. And Betty said that I could use her footage. So I wanted to get in there and, kind of put it all to bed for once in regards to the flashlight video. And as I was thinking about doing this video, I thought, well, CJ had once did a video on the area that Sebastian, if he walked out of the house, would have gone without being detected. Okay. So I thought I'd show that as well today as the flashlight video, and then the video from Betty with the secret door kind of and how she feels that Sebastian left the house undetected. But before we do that, I wanted to go over channel rules. I know we have talked about them before. I've never actually put them in writing, but I felt the need to do that because this video could be very controversial. Because there's people who don't believe in the flashlight video. So I wanted to go over everything. And after today, I really don't want to hear any more about the flashlight video, anyone's opinions, honestly, guys, because you either believe it or you don't. And I think we beat this to death after today, okay? But always be kind and respectful in chat and in the comments, okay? Hate and hateful speech will not be tolerated or you will be banned, okay? It is okay to agree to disagree as long as we remain respectful and we're not calling out and being sarcastic with other members that are in chat or about any other creators, anything. It won't be tolerated. Absolutely no talk about other creators in comments or in chat. Okay? Simply put, no drama. It's a drama-free channel. If it takes forever to get to 1,000 subscribers because we won't put up with drama and we won't put up with hateful, disrespectful speech in our chat and in our comments, then think about what those 1,000 people are going to be like. That will be our family, and that will be an incredible family. Okay? So that's chat rules. All right, so we're going to get started right away. I'm going to start with the Mob Crew's flashlight video. Craddock is on there, and I will be stopping that video to talk about what Craddock has to say, guys. I think it's very important. So no matter what your thoughts or your opinions are, I'm asking you to please be open. That's all I'm asking. Be open. If after you see this entire video, you don't feel that the flashlight video is legit, fine. But we're not going to discuss it again after this. I'm just not, guys. So let's go ahead, share my screen. Oh, and I wanted to mention to you guys that anytime I show videos on my channel, I've always got the links for these people in the description. I always encourage you to go, if you have not subscribed to these channels, to go and subscribe. give them the credit that they're due.
We're going to be breaking down the surveillance footage that was released early on in the Sebastian Rogers case. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this, but I'm going to break it down in ways and show you things that you may have not noticed before. And I've also got some interviews that also break down what allegedly happened that night. And in my opinion, after seeing this footage and what I'm about to break down and debunk, I believe this may have a connection to Sebastian Rogers' disappearance. I do not think it's a coincidence that we have these strange lights and an unidentified vehicle, for those that have not heard that before, the same night that Sebastian Rogers disappeared. So stay tuned, please stay until the end, and thank you so much for watching.
About midnight, I got up and I went to bed. And 6 o'clock, I went to wake him up for school Monday morning. And that's when he wasn't here.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So this is Sebastian Rogers' neighborhood. And there is where the Rogers' Proudfoot home located here. And this is the house that has the surveillance camera located here. The camera points this direction. In footage, we can see multiple vehicles parked in the driveway. Now the vehicles are parked different from how they were in the footage. So here's an example of how they were parked. Now in the footage there are multiple objects, so I'm going to break down each one. We can see this white outline of something on the bottom. This is actually the driver's side window and trim from the white truck being lit up by the floodlights. What I did here is take the original screenshot of the footage zoomed out and the overlay, the actual footage that was filmed, and show you how that lines up. Now notice how things shake around a bit. I'm going to explain why I believe things are a bit shaky in this footage. So I believe that either the homeowner or the reporter came over, had them zoom in on the footage, and recorded it with a cell phone. And because of that, their hand was not steady, and this caused the footage to be a bit shaky, and it explains why the quality seems to be degraded a bit. For some reason, law enforcement and the family tell the public that these lights have no major value to the case, and have even claimed they are lights from a garbage truck. Let's listen to a short clip from an officer talking about the lights. Notice the strange answer he gives.
Foul play.
I asked about exclusive home security video obtained from the neighborhood the night Sebastian disappeared. You can see two suspicious light sources, which we've circled here in an area behind the teen's home. Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
And so it could play a role down the road depending on developments?
We don't know what we don't know. So yes, it could play a role.
Since we have a screenshot of the
Did you hear that, guys? So Craddock said, first he said no evidentiary value, but he can't explain what those are. Could it play a role? Yes, it could, but we don't know what we don't know. Okay? So, yes, we do know that Seth was told that it was a trash truck, right? We're going to see in this video a little bit later how it was not a trash truck. And we're also, and I'm also going to tell you that I believe that whatever law enforcement officer told Seth that it was a trash truck was not being honest with him. Okay? Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because law enforcement has been known to lie, right? And you know that when Seth first saw Nick Barris's portion of the video, remember Nick Barris's portion of the video was all cut off. You didn't see all these cars up in front of anything. You didn't see how everything was overlaid and how it could be discussed how it was set in correlation with the houses and the yards. So, since then, now that Seth has seen the entire video and seen how everything is in correlation, he does not believe what law enforcement told him. Okay? So, setting that straight, we're not going to go over that again. Okay? All right, let's continue on.
The footage fully zoomed out, we can do some simple measurements using basic science to determine where the objects are located. Notice the hood of the truck in the top left. If we take a straight line from the hood, we can see that the two lights at the top, which have been assumed to be floodlights. And using this line, we can determine that those lights cannot be any higher than the hood of that truck. Using this method, we can determine exactly where those lights are coming from. So looking at where that truck was parked that night, seen in this overview, photo here taken the day of, we can then use a Google Street image and line up approximately where that truck was parked. Notice we add the red line and look at where it takes us. There is a house exactly across the street. This house is next to the Rogers residence. This home has its garage facing towards the camera. It also has 3 garage doors on it. Guess what? That's right, it has floodlights above each garage door. So here, I am taking a street Google view of the direction of the camera and then adding the security footage overlaid into the Google image. And notice how the floodlights do line up with the image. But because the footage itself was filmed with a phone, it is a bit shaky and doesn't always line up. But this does give you an example of where everything is taking place. The lights labeled as subject 1 and 2 are moving across the 2 yards. So the big question is, are they flashlights or something else? And where are they coming from exactly, and where are they going to? What I'm about to show you next will shock you to your core, because the angle of the camera is not quite level with the street. I realized that in order to match up the footage and image correctly, it needed to be tilted a bit to match the angle of the camera footage, and by doing this, literally put all the pieces to the puzzle together. And what you're about to see, in my opinion, is exactly what happened that night, and pay close attention to where those lights are coming from. I also fixed the footage the best I can to keep the floodlights lined up with the garage. Notice we can see subject 1 just behind the house to the right. Then we see subject 2 literally come out from behind the house to the left. This subject literally came from the yard shared by the Proudfoot's home. As subject 2 heads towards subject 1, we noticed that the light disappears right behind the gazebo between the 2 homes. As we continue to watch, notice that it seems like subject 1 is waiting for subject 2 to get closer, as if guiding this person to a car waiting nearby. Noticed as we wait for subject 2 to reappear, we see that subject 1 now moves behind the home to the right, and we cannot see them anymore. Then we see subject 2 reappear to the right of the gazebo. Noticed as subject 2 moves to the right, there are trees, and the light shimmers as it moves closer to the home on the right. I believe this is not a coincidence that Rogers goes missing the same night that around 3 a.m. Lights are coming from the direction of Rogers' home and the neighbor mentioning an unidentified vehicle parked on the street nearby. Here is me zooming in on where subject 2 is coming out from, and noticed it clearly pops out just behind the home to the left, the same yard that's shared by the Proudfoot's home. In my opinion, I believe this footage shows the potential abduction of Rogers. Here is a quick clip by the neighbor explaining that there is an unidentified car parked nearby when these lights are moving around.
The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car. The car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. Backs up Kellen and leaves. And then 2 or so hours later, as the sun is just beginning to come up, you can see the trash truck. And she said, but the trash truck goes past her driveway. She said, you can see the trash truck and the lights and the back of the truck go past her driveway, go up the hill, do its business, turn around, come back down, and then within a few minutes later, the sun is coming up, and then you can.
If you would like to hear the whole interview by the neighbor, the link is down in the description.
Okay, guys. So you can see that the flashlight video was separate from the trash truck. Okay. Was Seth only shown the trash truck video? Huh? I'm wondering. You know. Either way, the trash truck is separate. All right. And there are at least 3 witnesses who can verify that. All right. So now what I want to do is go to CJ's footage. What he did is back in March, I believe. He was driving around the community, Stafford, Kellen, all around that community, to get a sense of where the ring cameras were, where the cameras were on the houses around there. Why was he doing that? He was doing that to figure out how Sebastian, if he walked out of the house, could have left without being detected. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at next. All right.
Camera. So, did he walk out the door? I don't believe he walked out that door.
I don't either.
I believe he was taken, removed, something happened. There's been no signs, 9 months, there's been no signs that he walked out that door. What took place during the disappearance of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers? All right, so I'm going to show you a map first of the recon work if you do watch that video, and you'll see exactly where I'm headed. So I started out at this sign right here. I drove up Kellen Lane. I turned left on Winton Court, came back up on Winton Court, drove all the way down Kellen Lane until I got to this section right here at Devon Court, turned left, went around the cul-de-sac, went back down Devon Court, back down Kellen Lane, and then after I got down to Kellen Lane, I turned down Stafford Court, drove up Stafford Court, turned around, came back down, went into Waltham Court, then back onto Stafford Court, and then exited through. So here's the map of the area where Sebastian Rogers would have been able to walk out the door without being seen on security footage. So here's 1008 Stafford Court right here. You can tell with the van. Basically the back door.
Do you see where his triangle goes? Or his, I guess it's kind of a triangle. Anyway, the furthest point to the bottom on the left-hand side, that's right where the hidden door is. Okay, the door, it's actually the door to the crawl space, okay? Keep that in your mind, guys. Keep this whole area in your mind. This whole area, CJ feels that Sebastian could have left undetected. And then the next video we're going to watch, Betty actually confirms the same thing. Okay? But we're going to look at what CJ said if Sebastian walked out the door, how he could have avoided cameras.
Okay, and that's why I've continued to say just because somebody said the back door was locked doesn't mean they didn't accidentally leave the back door unlocked. Now, they can literally walk up through this area as you're going up. In the backyard between the houses, it opens up in this area, can come back around here, slip through here, and basically go in any of these areas. Now you'll get caught on camera over here, but this is the crazy thing right here. It opens up all around this wooded area. That's why I've always felt from the very beginning when I showed up in March 25th to do my recon work, because if he walked out that door, that's how I have to approach this in the beginning. But after we were out there for months on end searching and there's no sign, there's been no sign 9 months later, he didn't walk out that door. But this area right here just opens up. So I'll share some screenshots with you of where he could and could not have been picked up on security camera in that neighborhood. And then, like I said, after it gets to this area up on top, it just opens wide up, and you're talking all of that right there. Please.
Okay. So that is what CJ did from the beginning, because remember, law enforcement was pushing. Sebastian walked out the door. Okay. So CJ perused that entire area to figure out where the cameras were. And then from that information that he gleaned, he made this path. Okay. He's boots on the ground. I give a lot of credit to CJ. Again, link in the descriptions, guys. Go and sub if you haven't already subbed to CJ. Because he's boots on the ground and very intelligent as far as what he's doing, trying to figure out, the route that Sebastian may have taken if he walked out of the house. But keep that first part in mind as we go to the next video. Now, the next video is Betty's. And I'm just going to tell everybody right now, if you don't like Bullhorn Betty, then just exit, okay? Remember, no hateful comments. I don't want to hear any negativity about any creators. We don't mention creators in our chat, okay? So we can agree to disagree and be respectful, but I'm not going to tolerate any kind of disparaging remarks in regards to the fact that I'm using her video. And the reason that I'm using it is because it makes sense. All right, so let's go there.
Sorry, it's so dark in here. I feel like it flushes me out when I have the side light on, so I just turn it off because I don't like it. So it is what it is. So just deal with me like this. I hope everybody's having a great evening so far. And this is kind of prompted from some work that was done early on that I forgot about and was reminded this afternoon by one of our subscribers. There's too many people in chat right now for me to personally say hello to everybody coming in. So I just want to say thank you for being here to my subscribers, members, and more importantly, my mods that moderate the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. But this morning I was talking about a camera being potentially on the house. It was on the video that I did on TikTok very early this morning. And it was from a video, and I cautioned everybody about the photo, saying, you just really never know, if something, especially when it's grainy, I always caution people, if I can't source the photo, I always caution people, because this day and age, a lot of people can do some clever stuff with videos and photographs and Photoshop and all the good stuff we see in sometimes in these cases. And I don't think it was like that, but I mean, I really don't know. But either way, one of the subscribers from this channel sent me an email of some Zillow photos of the home and said, no, I don't see any cameras on the outside of the home. And of course, I looked through them, and she's right. The photos that she attached, she screenshotted some and attached them to the emails, and it really didn't produce anything, but it got my gears thinking, and I started diving into this rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay, so we know Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers disappeared from his home. We know that we have an independent, verifiable identification of him at the Texas Roadhouse on Sunday, February 25th at 6:30. And we know that by 6:33 the next morning, he was called in missing. So we have 12 hours, almost to a T, 12 hours. So no matter what your theory may be, whether he walked out or he didn't walk out on his own accord, this boy still left this house somehow. And so I don't know what made me go down this rabbit hole. Probably because I haven't looked at these photos in a really long time. Probably because I haven't reviewed my footage in a really long time. And I'm like, okay, he's got to have gotten out of the house. He had to have left the house somehow. No matter what your theory is, he has to leave the house somewhere. He clearly wasn't there by the time law enforcement got there. Okay? To the best of our knowledge and belief, he could not have been there by the time law enforcement got there. So he had to have left the house somewhere and somehow. So now we go back to the beginning of this case where we're listening to all of the news, when this was fresh and they were blaring Eye of the Tiger on the speakers, and everybody, it was just a hot mess express. Everybody was trying to remain calm and trying to keep the community calm while they had this massive, massive search. But there were a few things that we learned through the commentary from law enforcement or affiliations with law enforcement, the mom, the stepfather, and of course, just the news on the ground at the time. So what we've learned is that there is a neighbor's camera that gets the front of their house, including their front door. So we know that there was no evidence because law enforcement, I think specifically Eric Craddock, stated that there was no video evidence of him leaving the home. I think that came directly from the sheriff. So now we got to look at this a little bit differently. How could he leave the home without hitting any of these cameras? Now, we apply the lights video at some point. But before we get into the lights video, where are the possibilities of this child leaving this home undetected? So I started reviewing some photos. I started reviewing my old footage, and there's a few things that I noticed. So this is from Zillow. I actually think this is from the person's. This was the photos that were sent to me by this individual, just showing that there was no cameras that they could see on these stills of this. I want to make sure I don't dox anybody. Their information. Oh, but before we get started, there is one thing that I did learn. And that is this home is protected by ADT. That was noticeable in the Zillow photos. So it does appear that at least this home had a security system installed in the home and was monitored prior to this family moving in, and it was monitored by ADT. So that's one of the things that I noticed. But getting back to the photos, this actually got me kind of my wheels percolating, and I started looking. And so one of the first things I thought is, which neighbors would have a direct, because we know just about everybody in this concentrated area does have Ring doorbell cameras. We did learn from Jessica Danielle that many of the homes in this community, because you could hear them on dispatch talking to the command saying, we've cleared this house has cameras. We were able to talk to the homeowner, but nothing was on their cameras. And we kept hearing them do this, do this, do this. So as you see, this is the front door. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but this is the front door to their neighbor across the street. And it's a direct line to where the gates are on this particular home. And let me get that back here because I think it's this one right here. Is this the one? No, hold on a second. Let me find the one. There it is. So here is the gate, okay? Now, as you can see, this is what got me curious, because you can see that this is hinges right here, and there's hinges right here. So this is actually a gate that opens from both sides. This side here opens, and this side here opens, it appears. It doesn't appear that it's only one gate that swings open, actually both of them. But I actually believe that there was another access point much like this on the other side of the gate. And what I've learned through my research is that is not accurate. So this would have been the only other way out of the backyard, so we would think. And while I was looking through a lot of stuff related to the house, because I received this and it drove me into an absolute rabbit hole, one thing I noticed is that there was no other gate on the side of the house. And again, this is from Google Maps. And I noticed this right here. This right here, if you guys remember in Miss Bobby's interview, she talked about the mom being outside the home and the neighbor helping her look in the crawl space, right? I believe this is the outside crawl space that they're referring to.
Okay. So if you see where she's pointing right there, you can see the, if you want to call it the secret door, outside crawl space. That's the door for the outside crawl space. Now, do you remember what I said to you about CJ's? Kind of came out like this, right? And over. Did it not? So this whole area on that side of the house cannot be detected by cameras. All right. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I don't know if she mentions it in here or not, but I'm going to mention it anyway, because a lot of times the crawl space, there will be an access from inside the house, and it's usually in a bedroom, in a closet, in the, in the floor of the closet. You can, pull up the floor and get into the crawl space by there. Sometimes it's like by the utility things, So why am I telling you that? Well, I honestly do not believe that Sebastian would have crawled under there. The reason I don't believe that is because Sebastian didn't like bugs. He didn't like dirt. He didn't like to be dirty. Yes, he liked small enclosed places. It made him feel comfortable, I think, secure, safe. But we had a crawl space in our home when we lived in Portland, Tennessee. Okay. Those crawl spaces are usually damp, guys, from the ground. They're damp. Breeding place for spiders, right? I mean, my husband didn't even like to crawl in there. He did if he had to, but he didn't like to, and there was no way I was going to crawl in there because spiders and snakes, oh my, no, not this girl. So I don't believe that Sebastian would have gone in there either. However, he could have been hidden from inside the house and dragged out from the outside. Just speculation, you know. Nothing is fact. All alleged, right? But I'm just saying that's a possibility. So let's continue on.
And then it made me notice that here is the beginning of the culvert. I never noticed this before. And as you can see, right down here is a walk path like next to the fence. Or you can come around here and walk on the grassy knoll over here. I realized that this fence right here, I think, is like maybe 4 feet high. And I was thinking, no matter what your theory is, they could cross this fence even without a gate. If he was leaving, he could leave out of the back of the house and cross over this gate without any cameras.
Very possible. I don't even think it's 4 feet, guys.
On them because they have all of these trees and shrubs here that actually block the view. Hold on. Where is my view? I have it.
I think it's maybe 3.5 at the most.
So to block the view, if you see this whole tree line here, if you turn the Google Maps around, you'll see that there is literally nothing on the other side of the road that would be a direct shot in that area of any type of camera.
So she's confirming what CJ said.
That would have the view down that path, and there is no camera there. And the way that this front is for this particular house, this house camera would not be picking up that portion of the view. So the only spot at this home outside of a view of a camera is this side right here. Sorry, I'm taking so long to get back. I got it blown up for you guys. Is this side right here. And if you remember, we had 2 light sources coming from 2 different directions. One may have taken this path down here on the fence, while the other took the pass through here on the knoll. They all come back out to approximately the same area. But I truly do believe that would be the area that would only be obscured.
Now, we didn't get to see the video that showed where subject 1 came from. She evidently has seen that. So subject 1 came from the same area of the house. But the two, subject 1 and subject 2, just kind of went a little bit different route as they left the house, which would make sense. One along the fence and the other one out along the other side of the culvert there.
By any cameras. No cameras would be pointing on that. And also coming back to this area right here, this would have been obscured. There's a camera that gets this side of the property from across the street. But if you remember, the mom had a work truck. And it's kind of difficult where the work truck might be, because when you look at this screenshot, I know you guys really can't see it that well, but you see the work truck is on the far side, blocking that gate from view of this neighbor's camera over here. This neighbor's camera has the front door that we knew about that was discussed on Smiley's World. But if you see the side of the house, oops, let me remove the banner real quick. Hold on. Sorry about that. But if you look at the side of the house here, there's nothing that's viewing this, because the camera, the door camera right here, is angled right here and getting the whole front of this area here. You guys see what I'm saying? But over here on this side of the house, they have this tree here, which obstructs the view. And they got several trees along the house that were obstructing any type of view from this area over here. And this area over here, there's not a straight shot right here. And for this house down here, it's blocked by the corner of this house. So this would be really the only area that anybody could get out of unobstructed. So I'm looking at this very, very highly. Oh, and here's some shots where you can see this was one that I did when I was in the community. And when I did the daytime view, and you could clearly see the positioning of the vehicle. And this is the one that Chlamydia did. And as you see, the van's on this side. So we can't determine where the work van was parked at the time of this, the night before. But this gives you a clear idea. But there's still a camera that would most likely pick up some type of shades or shadows or figures walking on the side over here from the camera across the street. And that really does leave me to believe that this is the area where the lights originated from. So we don't know who they were. Many believe one of those lights may have been Sebastian. Some people think that Sebastian was coerced out of the home, and that this was the person that was coercing him out of the home and his flashlight. Some people believe he ran away. This is the path that it appears partially that the dogs had hit on, and I'm going to show gray hue in just a second. But I believe one person went across the fence line and the other person kind of came out on the other side. And that's why we had lights in two separate areas, because it's possible to get to the same spot from both ways. And I thought that that was super important as well. Now, to get on to gray hues, I want you guys to look at the path that is being taken by the dogs. And I have to caution you, I do understand that law enforcement says that there was no hit. It was a false positive. We also know that law enforcement has deceived us before in this case. For whatever reason, they need to deceive the public. I have to think it's to throw a suspect off the trail, potentially. Okay? Now, this is all allegedly, in my opinion. Do your own fact finding. This is the reasons why I'm believing the way I'm believing. This is why I'm showing you my receipts on how my brain got there. Okay? We learned from Miss Bobby that I'll get to the car in a second. Let me just show you guys this from Gray Hughes. This is what the stepfather told him was the path of the dog. And again, I want to remind you of where I believe the lights originated from.
Route that the dog took when it had a scent. So I'll put that in here as well. So he said that out the front door.
Look how close that is to the back. How do we know they didn't start back here? And the stepfather intentionally misinformed where they started. We know where the dogs ended.
I agree, because number one, even law enforcement, which again, even Betty said it, law enforcement has been known to lie and to throw people off the scent, right? Keep things close to the vest. But that neighbor across the street would have seen Sebastian come out of the house. if he came out the front door. So I'm with Betty. I think it came out either the back or out of the that crawl space door. I don't think it came from the front of the house. But let's just listen.
Because one jumped into the retaining pond. But my problem is with the start point, because as you see, it goes right by the area I believe the lights actually originated from. And again, they could have been on this side. I mean, if the work van was in this position, it could be enough cover to obscure somebody going out of the gates and walking around this way. There is the possibility of that.
That's true,
but
too.
Again, it's hard to think that no shadows or no figures or no movements were picked up on the Ring doorbell camera right directly across on this side. So that's what led me to believe to look into this, and I'm going to show you guys something that you're going to be shocked about as well. And this was a change that happened after Sebastian disappeared. And so you guys are going to want to stay tuned for this, because I just showed you there's trees here. Let me show you ground level. Let me find it again. Okay, here we go. Trees. See all these trees obstructing the view? See all these? These right here? These are trees, right? We all agree that these are trees, right? Okay.
All those trees were
we're going to
cut
get
down.
back to that. Save that note. Save that in your brain about
Later.
those trees. Save it in your brain what I feel
That's
where
what
the
she's
light's
talking about.
generated from. And let's get back to Gray Hughes analysis.
It scented Sebastian, and then the dog scented around the house like this, and then back over here where it came out. The dog came out.
And I want to stop it right here, because we're going to hear that we're going to see a vehicle. So I wanted to show you this first, and then we'll get back to Gray. There's the infamous car right there. There's the infamous car right there. See that? It was tilted. I had to straighten it up to get the vehicle. So now you don't see it. Now you see the lights come on. Don't see it? Now you see the lights come on. If you don't know what I'm looking at, right here. Right there. The lights just came on. That's the car. That's the infamous car right there. Right there. So according to Miss Bobby, this car backed up. The light sources came to this car right about here. And we heard it backed up and left the community. But if you listen to how she stated it backed up, it almost implied it backed up this way, reversed this way, and drove this way. So we need to go back and listen to Miss Bobby's analysis of which direction, because there's two ways at this moment into this community. One from the construction site over here, and one from coming from this way down here at the bottom. Okay, so let me back raise up just so you guys can listen to it again from the beginning.
Out the front door, it scented Sebastian, and then the dog scented around the house like this, and then back over here where it came out. The dog came out on, I think it's called Kellen Lane. So it kind of came right in front of that same house that had the fixed light on it. And then he apparently walked this direction, and then right up here on Devon Court took a right, and then went down this Parkenham Drive. Now the thing is all this is way more developed at this point.
And
this
it
is a
is.
year ago, 4/14/2023. And I think you could actually walk straight
I'll have
through like that. And
I'll have to put I drove all back there and I'm pretty sure I recorded every bit of it. So I'll have to go back and pull my footage and show you guys.
Okay. So I do kind of have one question about both of these videos, Betty's and Gray's. Because when we watched the flashlight video and he lined everything up, right? I'm going to show you that again. To me, it looked like the lights went on the other side of the house, not the side that's closest to Stafford Court. Right? Let's just look real quickly.
Incidents that Rogers goes missing the same night that around 3 a.m. Lights are coming from the direction of Rogers' home and the neighbor mentioning an unidentified vehicle parked on the street nearby. Here is me zooming in on where subject 2 is coming out from, and noticed it clearly pops out just behind the home to the left, the same yard that's shared by the Proudfoot's home. In my opinion, I believe this footage shows.
And see, she showed that they were coming like to the left side of the culvert over here toward the road, in front of the gazebo. But if you look at subject 2, it looks like subject 2 went behind the gazebo, right? Watch.
Shows the potential abduction of Rogers. Here is a quick clip by the neighbor explaining that there is an unidentified car parked nearby when these lights are moving around.
The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards. They do whatever they're doing around the car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. I'm sorry, backs up Kellen and leaves.
You
And
see
then,
that? So she talked about backing up. Well, I think the backup was so that they could get into the car. The one person could get into the car. Allegedly, Sebastian and subject 1. So she was wondering about the backing up. I think it was to put Sebastian in the car and then so that they could leave. That's my opinion, though. So let's continue back with what Betty is saying here.
How much more developed it is. But this, I believe, was done by a vehicle because there was a vehicle right in that area. And the path that we see is coming from the video. Now, this video, I want you guys to pay attention here because this is where one of them is, and it's right on the outskirts of the culvert here. Okay? I want you to pay attention to right up here. See it? It's on the other side. So, and not only that, but you got to
See,
look at
so
the
it
angle.
did go
I'm wondering
by
if this
the right
needs to be
behind the
modified
gazebo.
and angled up just a little bit. But that really is what is driving me to that. And here again is the image of the vehicle right here. And it has, when you blow it up, it has a tiny little dot, a reflection right here. And this is what it looks like
it was an
when we
SUV.
have it straight up and down.
See the back of
See
that?
it?
Definitely an SUV.
Straight up and down.
Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to go over with you. A couple of little discrepancies. My thoughts are that they went on the other side of that house because that seems to be the way the light is showing. And that car backed up to where they were onto Kellen and then took off right away. Okay? That's my thought. Other than that, that's how I think Sebastian left the house that night. So, you're looking at 3 different creators. Me, actually 4. Me, Gray, Betty and CJ, who all kind of agree that Sebastian came out from that back left corner of the house, right? And I don't believe he walked out. Just don't. I believe he was either carried, because if he walked out and he would have walked out barefooted, there would have been that scent, right? Did law enforcement lie about that? I don't know. There's still so many questions in this case, right? There's just so many. And it's kind of funny how Chris and Katie have gone silent, since all this stuff is coming out and since Dog and Nick have come onto the scene. A lot of silence from that side. Are we getting close, guys? Are we getting close to bringing Sebastian home by Christmas? We have 24 days to get him home. We have 6 days to get him home by his birthday. His birthday is December 7th. So light it up green, not for Christmas. Light it up green for Sebastian. I thought about that, and I thought, looking at my lights last night when I let Lacey out, and I was like, goodness, people are going to think it's lit up green for Christmas, but it's not. It's lit up green for Sebastian. Lit up green for Sebastian. Okay, so I'll be on at 6:05, but I wanted to share my grannyism for this video with you. Whatever is in your heart determines what you say. Okay? Whatever is in your heart determines what you say. What's in your heart today? I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate you. It's not going to be long. We'll be at 700 subscribers. That's going to be awesome. Shouldn't be too much longer, and I can try to get monetized. So that's getting exciting. So we will see you a little bit later. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at grannyscrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.